Hi, vintage bakers. Today I'm in the kitchen making oatmeal molasses brown bread.
This rustic bread is deliciously comforting with the earthy flavor of oats and the deep sweetness of molasses. Using a combination of whole wheat flour and oats gives this bread a hearty texture, while the molasses adds the color and rich sweetness.
Perfect served warm with butter or enjoying with a bowl of soup. This bread is both satisfying and wholesome. This traditional brown bread is a nostalgic treat that's been popular on the east coast of Canada and perfect for any occasion.
So let's get into the kitchen. This is how I make oatmeal molasses brown bread.
I'm going to start this recipe by making the fragrant and colorful bread dough. In the bowl of a stand mixer or in a large bowl if you're making the recipe by hand, add in 1½ cups of warm water, a half a teaspoon of sugar, and 2¼ teaspoons or 1 packet of dry active yeast. I'm going to set this aside for a few minutes for the yeast to soften and become foamy. This should take about 5 to 10 minutes. Now that my yeast is ready, I'm going to add in 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 tablespoon of butter, and a 1/4 cup of molasses. Sprinkle in a half a cup of quick oats and stir to combine. I like to use quick oats for this recipe because they soften and mix into the dough really well. However, old-fashioned rolled oats will also work. The molasses in this recipe is fancy or light molasses, which is perfect for baking. It gives things like gingerbread that signature flavor and color. Next, I've mixed in 1 cup of whole wheat flour and 2 cups of all-purpose flour. Knead the dough for 5 minutes in the stand mixer, or if you're kneading the dough by hand, it should take about 8 to 10 minutes, or until you have a smooth, soft dough ball. I'm going to add a drizzle of oil to a large bowl and turn the dough around a few times in the oil to coat it. Then I'm going to cover the dough and allow it to rise in a warm spot until it's doubled in size, which takes about 1 to 1½ hours, depending on the temperature of your kitchen. Now that my dough has risen, I'm going to tip it out onto a table and form it into a loaf. I do this by flattening the dough, folding it into thirds like a letter going into an envelope. Then, working in the opposite direction, roll it into a loaf by pressing it together as you seal it. Then I'm going to pinch the ends of my little dough log together. And the dough is ready to go into my already greased loaf pan, and I'm going to allow it to rise in a warm place until doubled, which should take about 45 minutes to an hour, depending on the temperature of your kitchen. Meanwhile, I'm going to preheat the oven to 375 degrees Fahrenheit or 190 degrees Celsius. Now that my dough has nicely puffed up and is ready to bake, just before going into the oven, I'm going to very gently brush the top of the loaf with a little bit of water. You could also use milk or cream here. Then I'm going to sprinkle on top some oat flakes. This step is completely optional and is purely for decoration. And my bread is ready to go into the oven and bake for 1 hour, or until nicely browned and sounds hollow when tapped. Remove from the oven and allow the bread to cool slightly before slicing and serving. The combination of rich molasses and hearty oats gives this bread a wholesome, slightly sweet flavor. Its dense yet soft texture makes it ideal for slicing thickly and enjoying with everything from baked beans or a hearty sandwich. Enjoy! If you're a fan of deliciously simple vintage recipes and old-fashioned skills, then you'll want to check out this next video. Thanks for stopping by.